Balcon TV. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about you. Did you always know that you wanted to be an artist?
Not really. It was something that just evolved over the years, as I didn't start painting with oils till I was 22 years old. But I've been doing it for 50 years now, so it's going on well. As a young child and in school, I was always dabbled in art, did a lot of drawing and different things. And so it didn't really become more serious until the age of 22. And from there on, it just has come along in years and evolved. Yeah.
22. So tell us about your formation.
It started at 22. I am now 72. So I've been doing paintings for 50 years.
Did you study art?
Yep. Yeah, I did have a full-time job for quite a while. I worked for a forest company in British Columbia, and I was doing topographical drafting, which was mapping, making maps. So I did that for 18 years, and after that, I decided to become an artist full-time. And so I quit my job, and we moved to Vancouver Island. And that lasted for about a year, and I had to go back and get another job. Things don't always work out as well. And then I did another job for 5 more years, and after that I quit again, and had been full-time since then. So it's been quite a few years making my living from it.
So you always had in mind, like, eventually to live off your painting?
Yes, yeah. At the point where, after my second stint at the job, when the income level from the artwork was beginning to be more than it was from my job, then it was time to make that decision. And since then, I mean, it's always been up and down. You never know when you're working for yourself, and especially in the arts, just exactly what you're going to make as far as income for a year. So sometimes it could be very good, and sometimes it could be very bad. But struggled through it, and I've been very fortunate. It's been very good for us. So
I'm glad.
Yeah.
What do you like in the practice of painting? Have you ever tried other medias? You said you.
Yeah. I've done charcoal, pastels, Indian ink work, acrylics, and I just always came back to oils. They have a very, almost like a sensual quality to them, working with the flexibility of the brushes and the consistency of the oils. And to me, you're able to achieve a lot brighter colors with a lot of the oils, because they have almost an inner luster to them that kind of helps you along with the compositions. So.
What do you mean? It helps you with the composition?
Yeah, as far as doing a lot of, like on my paintings, I involve a lot of light, so it has a lot of brown depth to it because of the light, and the oils just seem to be better adapted to that than water-based paints such as watercolor or acrylics. Now, there are artists that can do very, very well with other mediums to give it that sense of light. But I just find that oils have always been one of my favorites to work with. So, yeah.
How do you choose your subjects for your paintings?
Subjects now are generally, I try and do a lot of hiking in the summer and the fall especially. So the subject matter comes from different areas that I've hiked to, especially because I live in Calgary. A lot of the areas that I do are in Banff and Jasper, and the areas around parts of British Columbia, like in Revelstoke, the mountains. So those give you the basis for my compositions that are back and do them in the studio. But all the ones that I do are all actual places that exist. They're actually out there. So, and then it's my interpretation of it on canvas.
Okay, so you go hiking. Tell us the process when you start a project of painting.
Well, I do hiking, and so I do a lot of photos and sketches, and eventually they end up as a composition. Now, when I'm start looking through my photographs, and then I'll say, okay, well, I want, like this particular image or that image, and then do a composition and from that and use my photos for reference. So it, and also to try and pick the size of canvas. Some of the landscapes you require large canvas, and it's always more difficult to put a large landscape into a small canvas like an 8 by 10, you know, so I like to work on large canvases.
As we can see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So this exhibition displays one of your most recent works.
Yes.
Would you say that your inspiration for the subject has changed through the years?
Yes, I started out as a landscape artist, and then for about 10 years...
Because of the topography?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I spent quite a bit of time out with a lot of the engineers and the foresters in the bush as well, so it gave me that background for landscape. But I also did wildlife for about 10 years when it was the wildlife craze business, and then it got to the point of after about 10 years you got kind of tired of doing the same animals all the time, and went back to doing my landscapes, which you are able to do a lot more different things with it than trying to paint every little feather on a bird and every little hair on a wolf's head or something. So, and that's basically become my love, is doing landscapes. I still do my smaller birds as part of it, but it's primarily landscapes. And I've done them from pretty well all over Canada, except for the very east coast, all over the States, and you know, so a lot of the images are from areas that I've actually been to.
Okay. Do you have a specific area you prefer? I think it's like the Rocky Mountains.
Specific areas basically are in the Rocky Mountains. Those are some of the well, they're basically most of the places that I hike in all the time, and there are so many hiking trails to the west of us out in Banff and other places that never do them all in your lifetime.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, my next question was, what are you most interested in painting lately? But I think you answered earlier.
Yeah.
But still landscapes. And
pretty well, yeah. It's
all seasons?
All seasons, yeah. I don't do too much hiking in the wintertime, but I have been on snowshoes quite a bit in my younger days. Now it's more like a fair weather painter. I like sunshine, and so I try and pick my days that I go hiking, and it's again, it's primarily in the mountains, and I've done actually a number of images from Quebec as well when I was out here the last time. Spent time driving around Quebec, so got some inspiration from that as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. You said, you answered my next question, what's special about how you're painting, you said that, the light, especially the light. And so do you have, well, about this exhibition, do you have a special attachment to one of several of your paintings?
Special attachment?
Some that you cherish a little more?
You know, they're all basically an attachment when you're working on them. And then when it's finished, you look forward to doing the next one. Okay. But you also have to, I also think about the fact that, you know, there are people that purchase these paintings and they spend their hard-earned money on something that I've created. So it's always very nice when these, when you finish a project and you love it, and then on to the next one. It's always looking forward to the next one. But my wife also likes to keep some of them, so you know, when special occasions come, well, here goes a painting that might have to stay at home.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I used to do a lot of shows around the U.S. and other places, always tried to pick up a little piece of art from different artists, so I got to know a lot of artists through the years, and I have a bit of a collection from different artists as well.
So you're a collector too? A
little bit, not a great bunch, but you know, I always like to look at other artists' work, and there's some amazing work out there.
Can you quote like one artist in particular? You know?
One artist that I did follow, I never met, was passed away many years ago, was Andrew Wyatt. He had some great work. Some of the wildlife artists, people like Terry Isaac, Carl Brenders, Robert Bateman, pretty well exhibited with a lot of these people during my days of wildlife. But
did they inspire you in some way?
not really. It is just that I like their work.
Yeah.
You know, I never studied under anyone as far as art. It was basically self-taught over the years. And that's one of the important things, I think, for a lot of artists, is the fact that if you're trying to paint something that comes from you, if you're taking a lot of instruction from other artists, you might have a habit of picking up their style. And one of the hardest things for artists is to develop their own style that they're recognized for. And when you get to the point of where somebody says, "Oh, that's an Andrew Kiss," and they don't have to look at the name, then you know that you're doing something right. And a lot of the artists, you know, even in workshops and other places, when they're trying to learn how to paint, it's basically picking up somebody else's style, or they copy them, you know. But it has to come from you, you know.
Yeah, so that's again the next question. The best quality for a painter for you, it's like to follow his own.
You know, yeah, it's whatever strikes me. It's the same with people that look at an exhibit, and there are certain pieces that strike people.
But I meant to be a painter.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best quality required?
Hard work, perseverance, trying to keep at it, because as an artist, a lot of times you have to develop a pretty thick skin as far as people commenting on your work, and some people are not that nice about it. And everybody has their own likes and dislikes. So it's a matter of, as an artist starting out, trying to get your work out there as much as you can in front of people and in front of the public. And like I say, the hard work is just trying to keep at it all the time. And it's not easy at times too, because you know, life comes into play at times, and you're not able to devote the time to your passion or what you want to do in order to support yourself. So, like I said, I had a real job for quite a few years, and then was fortunate enough to make a living from my paintings after that. But it's quite a tough road. And they say in Canada, only about 3% of the artists, that includes visual art, you know, performing arts, whatever, make their living full time from their art. It's it's a tough job.
Okay. So you're having international shows?
I did for quite a while. I did 5 shows in Switzerland. Did one in Hong Kong. We did one in Germany, and all over the U.S. You know, everything from Florida to Washington. So did that for a long time. And then probably about 10 years ago, I started concentrating more on staying in Canada and doing the you know, Western Canada landscapes and keeping my art here. I do still have a representation in the U.S., but primarily my market is more in Canada than it is all different places. Mind you, though, we do actually ship paintings because of the website as far as clients from different parts of the world, but I don't do that many exhibits anymore, rather keep it here in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are your next projects?
Next project.
Wildlife?
I just actually finished a project, excuse me, which because of my 50 years of painting, I actually did 50 11 by 14 paintings of different places I've been all over the world.
Okay.
So each, you know, I pick sort of my favorite places. So I have, you know, paintings from Hong Kong, from Africa, from all over the U.S. and Europe, parts of Canada, and so and some were on holidays as well, but a lot of them involved exhibitions in different places. Mm-hmm. So it meant digging back through photos from many years ago and bringing some of the subjects forward and then putting them onto canvas. And it was a fun job, a fun thing to do. Yeah, because you kind of recall a lot of those places that you've been to. Mm-hmm. And then we put them on the website, and they're all on there for anybody that wants to see them. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the wildlife days?
Wildlife is not that much for me anymore. You know,
No.
like I probably quit that about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I still do some, but very rarely are they the scope or the focal point of the composition. You know, like some of it, say like a moose or whatever is just part of the smaller part of the composition. I still do little birds. They're still one of my favorite things to do, and they're very popular. But it's primary landscape now. Yeah.
So you have a project of painting in mind already?
Right now, I've been working on some florals actually, some flowers, and on a larger scale, not
That's
small
the
canvases.
season for that.
Yeah, it is. And I find it really quite interesting with the, you know, the shadow, the color, the light, the sometimes translucency of the petals on a flower. Excuse me. So it's become, I've done I think 4 pieces right now, so I intend to do another 6. So that'll be kind of a
So each
little project coming
subject brings its own challenge?
It does, yeah. Yeah. Even after 50 years, you're always learning something. Yeah.
Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you.